Hello, welcome to Functional Flow Pilates. Here at your home, we are going to go through an FFP quickie addressing the low back mobility and hip mobility all in one. So it's a pretty common thing to have one system always affect the other, and then there's just a constant cycle. So if you have hip stuff, you got to adjust the back. You got back stuff, you got to adjust the hip. So we're going to do it all together today. What you will need is a towel roll, if you have a Pilates ball, that's always very helpful. Some of you guys do. If you want one and you don't have one, go to Amazon. Pilates Fitball is the name that I use to have people look it up on Amazon and they can get it. I think it's like 8 or 9 inches. Okay, and then maybe like a block or something you can rest your hand on. We're going to go through some side kneeling. And if you recognize that you have a hard time in side kneeling, we usually will do a yoga block for underneath the hand. So go ahead and grab those things. I'm going to grab my yoga block. So if you have a little yoga block, grab it. If you have a Pilates football, grab it. Towel, grab it. Okay. Although I know people just like, I should have grabbed it, but I didn't. No, grab it. This is why I'm just like creating this actual time frame to pass by in the video so you can grab it. Yeah. Yes, you. Okay. Awesome. So let's get going. First is the spine mobility. So it's a medium-sized towel. We want something that will go underneath our low back. This will create that mobility that we need. That towel roll is for your brain to create a connection with. So then your brain knows where it is in space. So while you are here, you're going to tuck that tailbone down. Can you get your ribs in without like stressing your shoulders and your neck? So ribs down, tuck your tailbone, flatten your low back into it. And we're going to work on keeping that low back connection, rib connection. We're going to go through some abs. So inhale, one leg out, exhale, back in, and breathe. Inhale. All right, doing your best to fully inhale. And as we exhale, right, engage deeper into our core. All the while we're keeping that low back connection. All right, so we're using our full breathing to help relax our nervous system. Final two should be work, work, work. And one and down. And then we're going to go up with our legs. And again, we're trying to keep that tuck in our low back into the towel. So that towel is a physical connection for our low back. Okay, so work on squeezing those legs and down. Inhale, exhale. So I wouldn't focus so much on lowering the legs. I want you to keep that back connected to your towel roll. If it's too big right now, like mine is, I'm going to take one out, then take it out. I am going to make sure we have a bigger one though when we go through our actual roll up. So quick adjustment for me. Maybe you need it, maybe you don't. All right, so keep it flat. Inhale, exhale. All right, so ribs are in. All right, you should get into that full breathing cycle, teaching your brain how to relax through the challenge. 2 and 1. Hug those knees in, tuck your tailbone a bit, flatten your back down even further into that towel. All right. So now we're going to work on our spine mobility in reverse, like a reverse roll up. And this is where most people probably need like a thicker towel just for the partial, okay? So play around. I really want you to find what is best for you. You want a decent height because this is the contact point we're going to try to connect our low back into before we fall. So hands are behind the thighs. Your feet have to stay heavy. You're going to work on tucking your tailbone, not leaning back. It's a tuck of the tailbone, round of the low back. You're trying to touch that low back to the towel. Keep pulling your ribs in. And then from here, your upper spine curls forward. We're going to continue to stretch that spine as we come all the way forward and up. Stack. Inhale, exhale. And again, it is a tuck. Reach of your heels down, round your spine forward. and 2. Right, give this some time. And last. Give this some time. Okay, so now we're going to work on actually coming down lower. And mine's pretty thick, but that thickness will help me get up easier in the beginning, so I have a point of connection for me. So legs are mostly long. They can be bent a little bit or a lot. So you decide what works best for you. Just make sure your feet aren't too close. That will actually block you from coming all the way up. So inhale, exhale here, rounding, 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 really reaching still your spine back to stretch as you come all the way forward. Inhale, exhale, rounding, rounding, rounding. Inhale, exhale, round, stretch it forward. Right, if your feet are still lifting up, then just work on staying here and then really using your hands to assist you. I want you to create space and opening at your spinal levels. And then over time, see how you do with your legs out long over time, right? Maybe it's not today. Inhale, exhale. If you find yourself with your feet still coming up, then go ahead and bend your legs and push your feet back on the floor flat. Give it time. And then come back to your breathing. Relaxing the muscles of your face and your neck. And into our last. We're going to inhale, exhale, and then up. Oh. All right, so we got some of that spine mobility. We're going to go through some bridge work here. So if you have a ball or a block or a towel, we're going to do bridging with inner thigh squeeze to begin. You want to make sure that you're still heavy on your big toes and your little toes across all of your feet as you go through your bridging. So here we go. Widen out your chest. Inhale and exhale. So give this time. If you find that your back feels tight in the beginning, give it a few more reps. You might recognize it actually starts to feel better the more you do it, and that means it is good for you. I haven't really met one person yet that a bridge actually wasn't something that felt better with reps. Tight, yes, all the time. We sit a lot. We sit too much. So your bridge goal over time is striving towards a straight line from your shoulders, hips, and knees, right? And that you're not arcing in your back, the ribs are down, and it's a drive from your hips and hit reverse. Right, so now that we know that, we're going to really make sure we're targeting from our glutes. Ribs are in, squeeze of the butt. Inhale, reach your knees away from your body, stretching those front thighs. Pull a little bit of your heels in without moving them. You should feel those back legs ignite. And then here we go into your last. Inhale up. Exhale. Down, down, down. Ooh, okay, so wide position here. So feet together, knees wide, side butt squeeze, pulling knees out. You want to get those side hips on the whole time. Right, a lot of times our side hips are under-engaged, underutilized. We don't get the full back support that we need from our hips. And we get more compensation in our flank muscles, and those flank muscles will give you signals, and those signals can be side back pain, side back tension, still rounding one bone at a time. I'm doing my best, trying not to skip my mid back. Round, 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 tuck, 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 and all the way down. All right, hug it in. Maybe a little bit rock, side to side. All right, so we made it through that. Let's go through our hip circles here. So you can see how much you're moving. If you have a football, you can place it underneath the heel of that straight leg down to the floor, and then the other leg will be straight, okay? And if you're feeling any nervy, just go ahead and point of your toes, bring your ribs in, flatten your back even more. Okay, so your goal is a very small baby circle. And if you don't have a ball, right, you don't need it. But just some more feedback if you do, which I think is great because it's hard to tell how much control we have sometimes. And then the props assist and change directions. Inhale, exhale, very small, very tight. And breathe, 2, and 1. Right, we keep it small for a reason. We're just trying to have full control at the hip instead of movement at the knee or the foot. And that will just create that connection of our limb plugging in to that socket. Right, and again, it's that back flattening that sometimes we tend to forget. So here we go, ribs in, tuck, tailbone flat in your back. Squeeze across the thigh, small baby circle. And your goal is complete stillness here through your torso. Squeezing, 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 and then change directions. Inhale, exhale. So keeping your chest wide and your ribs down, it's hard. 2, and I'm fighting. 1, come on, stability. Oh, and then we bring it in. Okay, so we went through our leg circles. Now we have ball under pelvis. Okay, so if you don't have ball under pelvis, you could do this without the ball, right? You're just gonna have to really emphasize your back staying flat. So we did this a little bit in the beginning with the towel, so absolutely, if the towel helps take the pressure off your back, go back to using the towel as well. So legs up, ribs in, right? So a little bit of that lift from the ball allows our back to get more roundness and length, especially if our back is used to being stuck in this curved extension. So it's creating additional support and feedback to give you that length. So then you create a connection between your ribs and your pelvis. Get those abs in the front engaged here. We're going to squeeze up, inhale, exhale. Think about pulling belly button down as those legs go along, and then full inhale and exhale and repeat. Really bringing that awareness and support of your spine. 2 and 1. Okay, so we're going to use our ball to create length and opening into our front thigh. So keep your ribs in, keep the tuck, feel that front thigh stretch, and pull it up. And inhale. Don't let the ball shift. You're going to keep a squeeze here in your front body across your knee, and then right back up with your hip. So you're just working on that end range hip opener without disturbing your spine. Inhale, exhale. Abs with some end range mobility and control. 2 and 1. And up. Awesome. Bring it out. All right. And this is where our yoga block comes into play. When you go through a side kneel and you find that it's pretty challenging, go ahead and elevate your surface, right? So it could be really anything. It could be a stack of books, okay? But this just gives you a little bit more lift for your spine to eventually work on that overall mobility, a little bit more lift so your bottom hip can learn how to get into this mobility. And then over time, we can take away the block. Here we go. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale. So you want that rib lifting away from the pelvis. Straight arm here if you can, doing this without pinching in the shoulders, but the whole time you're always pulling that hip forward, squeezing that bottom butt. This bottom arm will bend at the elbow, so you get a little bit more tricep support. Just check that shoulder pulls away from the ear, and up, and up. 2 and 1. Here's a bonus move. You can stay here, hold your stretch for 4 seconds, or you could stay here and lift your top leg for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ooh, bring it in. All right, oh, big flank stretch. I love it so, so much. Okay, here we go. Drive those hips, long neck, and reach. And then check on your spine, check on your pelvis. Everything is even. Bridging and this side kneeling are my 2 favorite moves to give to people when it comes to low back pain. It's usually all we need to get at least some relief. Okay, hold for 4. You just keep pressing your hips forward, or lift for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ooh, bring it in. Go to your child's pose here, wider stance of your knees, and then drive your hips back. And breathe here, checking in where your tension is. Inhale, exhale, release that tension. Again, and last. Awesome. 90-90, super must. All right, again, these are like all my top moves that I give to everyone that I work with when it comes to back, hip, discomfort, pain. So this is another place that you can elevate your butt, whether it be any of these things here, right? If you just have a towel placed underneath your butt bones, it might make all the difference in you not going into a cramp, because remember, you're trying to teach your nervous system to accept these positions and accept these moves. So here you are, just going to bring it forward and get into that side hip stretch, going down to what feels right for you. Right, it could be on your elbows, it could be straight down all the way. Right, if you want to be straight arm, up, right, whatever your body feels most safe, this is where you need to be. And then we're going to work on connecting with that side hip muscle actively. So here we are. So T-arms and pull knee down. You're continuously trying to drive your hips to the floor. Don't let them come away from the floor. As you slow your straight spine down, push through that front leg, engage that side butt, stack you up to the top if you can, shoulders over hips, and inhale. So it's all about the control and connection that you have with your body, right? Not looking like what I'm doing with mine, but what does it feel like for you? That's the best thing. Inhale, and exhale. And last. All right, then tuck your tailbone under and give yourself a nice stretch here. A little tuck, tuck, tuck. You should feel your back hip getting that internal rotation stretch. All right. And then, so what will happen here with our back leg, it's pretty challenging in the beginning, is trying to create a little lift off. So what I would like for you guys to try is on your elbows, you're going to think about keeping your stomach and ribs in, and just think of a baby lift off of that back foot, right? Knee down, foot up. But if it means that's changing the shape of your body and the spine, then it's lifting too much, right? So keep it small, keep your stomach in. Inhale and exhale. Don't focus on the height. I want you to feel a connection somewhere on the side of that butt. And breathe. Inhale up. Exhale down. 2. And last. Ooh. And then bring it all the way in. All right, so we're going to do a back leg lift off here as we transition all the way over to the other side. Right, and then we'll eventually look away from each other, and then we'll reset. So back knee, use your hands here, right? It's gonna be maybe some discomfort in the sense of just tight, but nothing sharp. And then eventually we're going to pull those knees away as we transition onto our butt bones. Oh yeah, loosen up the hips. We'll be facing away and then reset. See what it's like here, right? Testing the waters, opening up to your 90 degrees at the knees. Only if your knees are okay with it. If it's pulling on your knee joints and feeling a little sharp, go ahead and close that angle in, okay? And then drive those hip bones down. If you're cramping here, stick something underneath your butt bones. And then now with your front leg, rotate your chest towards it. Come down to your hands, to your elbows, whatever feels best for you. We're going to do an outer hip stretch here. Breathing, right? Seeing that connection, feeling that connection more so on that side hip. Stretching into it. And then work your way up. So now it's that active work, okay? So you're engaging your body, bringing all of it to the floor, and then embracing with your stomach, your core, straight arms, pressing through that front knee to slow you down, keeping your stomach and slowing yourself down, and then press through that thigh and knee to bring you all the way up. If you can, stack shoulders over hips, and then take your time. Inhale. And exhale. Again. Two. And last. Oof. Right? You should really feel that outer hip working. Hands behind you. And then you're going to work on tucking your tailbone, driving your butt bones down closer to the floor. If your back knee doesn't like it, just pull that foot in a little bit more. And we're not flaring anything forward here. We're pulling everything in to deepen into this back hip. You should get a socket stretch, maybe a thigh stretch, maybe both. Another full breath. Awesome. Okay, so now on that back foot lift off, very hard. Right, come down to your elbows. Maybe you can close in that front knee so you can slack that hip. Your focus is that back butt. Okay, so the lift off is the importance, but even more important is how are you controlling your spine? You want to make sure that your ribs are in, your stomach is squeezing, and we're not shifting into our body. Okay, so tuck everything in, just isolate at that ball and socket joint, foot up, knee down, and repeat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Inhale. Please don't hold your breath. Your body will not accept it. If you don't feel that side butt, hold it for a while. Create that connection and continue to breathe. Final one. And then here we go. So now we're going to do those lift-offs before we do our full transition over. So use your hands, get tall through your spine. Try to smooth that groove of your hip. 2 and 1. So back knee opens. We're going to use our hands, try to use our stomach, our core to stand tall through our butt bones. Our knees are wide. Oh, my hip just made a clicky sound, and that's okay. That's just smoothing out that joint. And then here we go. Inhale. And exhale. Final. And then bring it in. Oh, check in with yourself, see how you feel. I wanted something that really brings it down to the fundamentals of connecting with your breath and your mind and your body and getting extremely cognizant of where you're feeling it and then teaching you also why. When it comes to the back and the hips, just know that they're closely related, that you will 100% should always keep them in together in a sense of like what you're recovering. So if you're recovering for your back, make sure you address your hip. If you have hip pain and you want those to feel better, make sure you address your back. Awesome, guys. Thank you for moving with me. Thank you for joining me. Let me know how I could better serve you next time. You can see that we have different props here. If you want any of these things to come into the FFP program even more, let me know and I will absolutely make those videos. Thank you again. Take care.